Warpath Void Knight is an excellent speed farming build. This patch it gained a lot of damage and AoE with the Warrior's Fury node, which was always there, but now we can actually use it thanks to Devouring Orb being automatically cast and it providing a lot of Void Essences. So the Void Essences are then spent on Void Well, which regains 30% of your mana when you go out of mana. This effect actually works before you stop channeling Warpath, so it allows for a smooth playstyle where you ramp up your mana constantly and you gain more and more damage, more and more AoE, but also more mana cost. So at some point you will not have enough mana and you will automatically rechannel, but the more mana you stack, the longer you can channel, which means of course more damage and AoE. Before you spec Warrior's Fury, you should make sure you have at least 400 mana and a T5 reduced channel cost affix on your helmet to make it for like a smooth playstyle. If you don't have these stats, just don't spec Warrior's Fury. This build is quite gear dependent as it relies on the mana stacking and also a lot of uniques and legendaries. When it comes to tankiness, the build is quite usual for a two-handed Void Knight, so Titan Heart helps a bit with the tankiness and just HP stacking. Of course, you are stun immune while you channel Warpath, and you also gain a lot of armor and stuff like that, so it is decently tanky, but can't really match the block builds when it comes to tankiness. But the playstyle and mechanics of the build really help, so you don't really ever get hit by enemies, because you have the big AoE around you and you're always moving, so nothing really hits you, so that really helps. And this build is very easy to play. The gameplay is just hold down Warpath and move around the map, that's all you really do. So you actually never want to really stop channeling, because if you stop channeling, you of course reset your ramp. For bossing, you wanna be hitting with your echoes, so you need to travel like a certain distance to actually proc the echoes, so you need to keep that in mind while bossing, so you wanna be kind of like moving around the boss and make sure the echoes also hit. And something to keep in mind as well is that the echoes actually don't benefit from Warrior's Fury. They are still a nice, like a very nice damage increase, but they don't actually gain anything from that node. And let's go over the build guide. So Warpath, of course, main damage skill, and Warrior's Fury, it is what enables the damage and area scaling. So you gain more and more area, but also more and more damage and more mana cost per second. And then we're just grabbing all the damage nodes, so crit chance here with the sword. So this is also one reason why we want to use the Klotos Needle. So it's a sword, 10% base crit, then this is 80% more damage because it's doubled with a two-hander. And then this enables the echoing, and this one you convert it to void, and you get hit damage here per time rot. So time rot you basically cap just from Abyssal Echoes, because you proc Abyssal Echoes from just by channeling Warpath, so you get time rot from its buff. So you don't need to build any time rot, you get a little bit from the passive tree, but you easily cap out the 12 stacks that's needed for the maximum multiplier. And then of course movement speed, so you want to be fast, and the last points you can put into block chance, because with the Klotos Needle, block chance is converted to parry chance, so you get basically parry is 100% damage reduction, so same thing as a dodge basically, so a little bit of extra DR. If you have extra points, you can put like max this out also. If you want more damage, you can have these points in the Void Spiral instead for a bit of extra damage. And something to note here, you want to have at least 400 maximum mana and a T5 reduced channel cost on your helmet to actually before you use Warrior's Fury. So if you don't have those stats, then sustaining mana will be difficult, and you could unspec the node early game, so if you don't have gear, you can just play like a regular Warpath build also, so that's an option. And for bossing, if you have like you have good gear, a lot of mana, and you have like a timeline boss, for example, you want to kill really fast, you can actually fully spec this node. For example, just like take out these points here, put them here, like 4 out of 5, so then the ramp is gonna be much faster. Of course, you cannot sustain that type of mana cost for long, but you're gonna have so much damage that you can just like insta kill the boss basically. You can even pre-ramp the Warpath a little bit if you want to kind of like cheese the boss. So this would be like short boss fights, you can max out the node or have like more points into it. The actual DPS doesn't change like over a long period, but you could just get more burst damage. So Devouring Orb, this is the main source of Void Essence. So you gain a Void Essence every time a Devouring Orb expires, and this is automatically cast while you move, and you will of course always move. So this is the main thing that actually enables the build. So thanks to this, we can actually get enough Void Essences for the Void Well passive, and we can regain our mana with the Void Well passive. So very important to have this skill, and then you get some Void Shred here, so a little bit of extra damage. So you don't need to build Void Res on this build. You get Void Res here, and then some from Anomaly, Time Bubble. So, and yeah, on Anomaly, Time Bubble, of course, and then this is 50% more damage basically. So you wanna hit with the Anomaly itself, you wanna hit the boss, and it's a pretty long cooldown because we need the instant cast on this build, so you never want to stop channeling. So it's just like a burst, like extra burst damage. We don't rely on it at all for crit, for example, so because it's such a long cooldown, it would be bad to do that. And then just Time Bubble follows you, and you get some attack speed here also. And Symbols of Hope, just passive buffs, so lots of damage, crit chance, flat damage, and then increased damage here. It's all void increase and void flat damage. And the block chance here is parry chance, of course, with the Clodo's Needle. And yeah, that's about it for this skill. You never want to cast it yourself, just have it on the bar. And same goes for pretty much all of these skills. So this one, of course, instant cast, so you will cast this one, but all of these ones you never cast yourself, you just spin. Never stop channeling. And then Abyssal Echoes, so you proc it with the Warpath, with the node, and you gain mainly, you gain this buff here, so Nether Coating. It says it only applies on direct use of Abyssal Echoes, but it actually applies even on non-direct use. So you get attack speed, damage, and then you get Time Rot also here. So this makes it so you don't need to build any Time Rot or much at all. Blind here, so you can actually apply the blind for this node. And the rest of the stuff is not super important. This basically makes it so you cast more Abyssal Echoes at once, and this applies Armor Shred, which is a decent amount of stacks of Armor Shred on bosses. Then for the passive, so this build is very point-starved, just like most Void Knights. So we would really like to get this, but we just can't. There's just not enough points. But we just go for the 20 points on Sentinel, and then you want to get Void Well as soon as possible. So we get this here, of course, very important. This is what enables the actual mana sustain with the Void Essences. So when you go below 0 mana, 30% of your mana is regained, and you of course need the Void Essences, and it's a 3-second cooldown. This actually applies before you stop channeling, so that's why you can just keep channeling your Warpath, and you reset your mana, and then eventually you will stop channeling just because the mana cost is too high, and then you automatically rechannel. Other than that, of course, grabbing the res, less damage taken, some extra area, increased damage armor, and important crit scaling passive. We max out the leech, because leech is very good. This is a lot of leech per point, so we max this out. We don't need this one though, so it's not needed. And then we go for the penetration, frailty slow, really good. Max out the more void damage, vitality, HP. And then we go for the echo stuff. So this is a decent amount of Time Rot, so this combined with the Abyssal Echoes Time Rot is enough to cap your 12 stacks for the Warpath damage multiplier per Time Rot. And then attack speed, echo chance, very good node. So we cannot take this one. It has increased mana cost, also reduced attack speed. So the increased mana cost will, of course, be very bad. But this one we take for the threshold. So especially if you use the anchor, when you go below Ender's threshold, so if you get hit, you're actually slowed. So getting a bit of a slow, like reduced slow effect is quite nice. And it's also movement speed, so of course very nice to have. This quite important, of course, for the base crit. You also get more hit damage against low life enemies, or you actually gain like a buff when you hit an enemy that's on low life for 8 seconds, so very strong. And then this for the DR, so lots of tankiness from this. And of course, after you get Void Well, you wanna get the Paladin 15 points for the mandatory symbols, basically, like on every Sentinel. So just going for the 15 points to get the Symbols of Hope. And then for the gear, so of course stacking mana is definitely important on this build. The more mana you have, the longer you can channel Warpath, and the more and more damage, more and more AoE you can get. So on the starter planner, you actually have already like almost 600 mana, and of course you have the reduced channel cost here. So just with T5s, you can get quite a decent mana pool, so it's a very playable build already with the starting planner. And of course with the end game, it's much stronger, so this really scales with gear. But yeah, the weapon on this build, Clotos Needle, like I said before, very fast weapon, has base crit, block chance converted to parry chance, even has melee crit multi. So because the AoE is so big on this build, you actually will gain a lot of crit multi from the weapon as well, and then just a lot of flat damage. So basically, it's just a good stat stick. And this is a Weaver's Wheel item, so you will get random affixes on it. It drops from the Woven Echo boss in the Lost Wood Folly, Woven Echo. So it's target farmable, and I would use this even without any affixes, but of course, ideally you get at least the flat melee void damage, and then attack speed would be really good. And of course, you can get more stats, so Armor Shed would be insane, Void Pen. If you get Armor Shed, then you don't need to build it on anywhere else. So yeah, if you don't have the Shred, then you kind of want to have the Shred on the gloves. And the boots on this build are Suloron Step for the damage. You can also, of course, go for Dark Stride if you want more movement speed, but this is a lot of damage. So that's an option, the other boots. And for Titan Heart, for the chest, lots of tankiness. Pretty easy to get, so you can just slam the +4 Warpath on it, and you can even get multiple LP quite easily, common item. If you want more movement speed, so you can get haste with the wings. You lose a lot of HP though, so. And this has higher LP as well, so I wouldn't expect really more than 1 LP. You can get 2 maybe, but yeah, at least early game, like one LP is kind of the max usually on this. And then of course with the aspirational, you get haste and Titan Heart, so you don't need to go for wings at that point. So this is pretty crazy with the permanent haste and then Titan Heart. But I personally I prefer Titan Heart always, but yeah, that's an option for mapping, just like more movement speed for haste. Anchor for the relic, so capture endurance, gives you armor. Just good stats, basically a lot of damage, increased damage strength. It's just so amazing. Just slam the mana on it, boom, and then Nihilist for the amulet. Of course, you can also use Orion's Eye, would be usable with because it has a lot of mana. But this is definitely an insane item for the build. And the belt and the ring, so classic Doom belt, Doom ring for any like melee crit build. So gives you Doom, so increased damage taken on enemies, and then more damage per Doom. A lot of damage from these items. And then Flames of Midnight for the movement speed from Swiftness, so 20% move speed at level 100. Also Void Pen, so very strong item. And then Helmet is just the classic Sentinel base with the reduced crit, and of course the reduced channel cost affix, very important. Gloves, so we have the current HP lost per second sealed. Here, so what it does, it gives you overleech basically, so you never reach full HP, so you never lose your leech stacks. It's not required, but it's nice to have, so you can just seal a T1. You get quite a bit of value from the blessings, so armor while channeling, you will of course always channel, so this always applies pretty much. Physical res, mana, resistance and crit multi. Idols, so going for 2 of these ornate idols here. Echo damage when a skill is echoed. You can also get vitality on the prefix, that's also fine. And then increase melee void damage suffix, and then movement speed. Movement speed would be ideal on the enchant T7, so that's 10% movement speed extra. You can also get crit chance, of course. And ideally you have as much of these small mana idols as possible. So depending how much res you need, so aspirational you can just go full mana idols, but on the end game you will need a little bit of resistance usually. If you get resistance here, so you can get the all res while channeling affix on the relic. So if you had a 2 LP anchor, you could just go, you could just go for the same setup as on the aspirational, even on end game, if you get the resistance on the relic. But yeah, otherwise these are just like res, vitality, some penetration. But the mana idols are crazy strong. And yeah, on Aspiration, like I said, Shattered Worlds for the perma haste and good stats, and then Immortal Vice to be super tanky. So yeah, overall a very strong build, really fast, has really good damage. AoE is extremely simple to play. You just hold down one button pretty much. Needs a decent amount of gear, so of course the mana stackers are rely on the gear quite a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this build. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.